Hello everyone. Now in this video, we are going to look at strategy for Indian economy, which is part of your UPSC syllabus. Now, first thing we want to know is weightage कितना है Indian economy का UPSC examination में. And going by the previous year trends, we can see that UPSC has been asking on an average of 14 questions in your prelims examination. So that is 14 questions out of a total of 100 questions. Now, in your mains examination, UPSC has been asking right around 8 to 9 questions from Indian economy. So, out of these 8 questions, 4 questions will be your 10 markers, 4 questions will be your 15 marks. So, a total of 100 marks out of your 250 marks in GS3. Okay. So, this gives us an idea of what is the weightage of Indian economy in your UPSC exam. It forms around 14% of your prelims examination, 40% of your GS3. And if we talk about mains as a whole, then right around 6% of your mains examination. Now, हम क्यों बात कर रहे हैं weightage का? Because this gives us an idea of how much time we should allocate to Indian economy. Right? It is generally recommended that you should start your UPSC preparation at least 1 year before your first prelims, right? Now, out of this 12 months, you will give 4 months to your optional, and this leaves you around 8 months for your GS plus your essay. Okay. Now, out of this 8 months, you will get to dedicate around 2 months to your GS3. Okay. And for GS3 के अंदर भी apart from Indian economy, there are other subjects too, like your environment, science and technology, internal security, all that. So you can give around 25 days to around 1 month to Indian economy, right? Now, this is when you are preparing at least a year before your prelims examination. If you have more time, that's well and good. You can maybe dedicate a bit more time to this subject, but 1 month I think should be enough to cover Indian economy in its entirety. Okay. Now 1 month मैं बोल रहा हूँ जब तुम पूरा 1 महीना सिर्फ इंडियन इकोनॉमी पढ़ रहे हो. ऑब्वियसली तुम इस 1 मंथ को 15 डेज के 2 चंक में डिवाइड कर सकते हो एंड देन कवर 15 डेज में यू कैन कवर द स्टैटिक पोर्शन, 15 डेज में यू कैन कवर द डायनेमिक करंट अफेयर्स. और अगर तुम 2 सब्जेक्ट एक दिन में पढ़ोगे then you have 2 months to cover Indian economy, right? So that is as per your convenience and as per your ability to understand Indian economy. But you should have some timeline decided कि इतने टाइम में हमें ये सब्जेक्ट कंप्लीट करना है. Okay. Now let's look at the syllabus. Now UPSC gives a syllabus for Indian economy for both prelims and mains. Prelims में UPSC says that it will ask questions on economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographics, social sector initiatives, etc. Now this etc. is very important because it now covers everything under the sun that you can ask in Indian economy, and UPSC has been asking everything, almost everything. तो इस सिलेबस से हमें उतना आइडिया नहीं लगता है, and that is why a very good indicator of what the UPSC is going to ask comes from the previous year questions, right? तो प्रीवियस ईयर्स में यूपीएससी ने जो जो सवाल पूछे उससे हमें आइडिया लगता है कि क्या क्या टॉपिक्स से यूपीएससी सवाल पूछती है एंड क्या क्या टॉपिक्स अकॉर्डिंगली हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा. ओके. Now, looking at your mains syllabus, mains mein UPSC provides a bit more detailed syllabus, and that is very important. So UPSC is asking questions on Indian economy, issues related to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, employment, inclusive growth, government budgeting. So as you can see, everything regarding the growth of Indian economy, the budget, even the monetary policy, the external sector, everything will be included here. then these are part of your sectors of Indian economy, the agriculture sector and the industrial sector and the services sector. सबको अगर मिला दें, so you can see questions on major crops, irrigation, e-technology in the aid of farmers, farm subsidies, public distribution system, technology missions, animal rearing, food processing, land reforms. These forms a major chunk of your syllabus, which is essentially part of the agriculture chapter in Indian economy. And then questions on industrial policy, liberalization, industrial growth, infrastructure, investment models. So this is the secondary sector of Indian economy. And this is very important because this also gives you an idea of where the questions in your mains examination is going to come from. Now, if you look at your previous year trends, then a major chunk of the question is from agriculture and your industrial sector, right? So this is the previous year trends, and all these are chapters from your standard book. So now if you see in your mains examination, agriculture and allied sectors covers around 39 questions out of a total of around 80 to 85 questions that has been asked from Indian economy in past 10 years, right? Another big chunk is your industry, infrastructure, external sector, and then here, growth and development, inclusive growth, and uh, public finance, which is essentially your budget, and taxation, which is also part of the budget only. Okay. So these are the major focus area of UPSC in your mains examination. But if you look at your prelims examination, then the major questions are being asked from other areas of Indian economy, which is your money, inflation, monetary policy, public finance, banking, and financial market forms a chunk of your questions. Then you have your external sectors, international economic organizations. So the organizations like IMF, World Bank, all that. Okay. So these are the major focus area in your prelims examination. Now, obviously this brings to mind कि क्या prelims और mains के लिए अलग-अलग तरीके से preparation करना पड़ेगा. So to that I say that don't start with that mindset. Start with the mindset that I have to cover the whole Indian economy in one go, because all the chapters in Indian economy are interrelated to each other. Without understanding the GDP, GNP, inflation, you cannot reach at the budget or the monetary policy, right? Or the external sector. So everything is interconnected. So don't try to separate what is inseparable. Start में सब कुछ साथ में पढ़ रहा है, and only when the prelims starts approaching, so 2 months before prelims, you can start doing a more prelims focused preparation. And once the prelims is over, you can start a more mains focused preparation with mains focused answer writing, right? Okay. Now let's look at what are the sources that you are going to consult while preparing for Indian economy. Now I recommend these four major sources. The first one is your NCRT. Okay. So NCRTs, then a standard book, because NCRT in itself is not going to be enough. You have to prepare at least a level above NCRT, which will be covered in your standard book. So NCRT plus standard book will form the static portion of your Indian economy, right? So all the theories will be covered here, but theories अपने आप में enough नहीं होगा. You also have to do some current affairs. Now going by your previous year trends, around 60 to 70% questions that has been asked in your prelims examination, that is static, right? So if you know the theories, you'll be able to answer these questions. But then again, 30 to 40% is a dynamic, right? For this, you have to have read the newspapers. You must read the economic survey so that you know what is going on in the Indian economy, क्या चल रहा है, and therefore, if any questions comes from there, you are able to answer. Okay. So for the dynamic portion, I recommend economic survey. Now, economic survey is released every year, day before the budget. So that is a good time to take up the economic survey, and at the same time also study the budget. The economic survey and budget साथ में पढ़ सकते हो. And then you have to read the newspapers, right? So these are the four sources that should be enough for your Indian economy. Obviously, in the market, there are so many resources available. उतना time भी नहीं है तुम्हारे पास, and therefore you have to be very, prudent or very practical about what resources you are going to study from. Okay. Apart from this, of course, you have the internet. So any topic or anything that you don't understand, you do a quick Google search. Nowadays, you also have artificial intelligence. So sources like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, all that you have at your disposal, right? And they do a pretty good job at explaining you the concepts of Indian economy. Okay. So here are the two NCRTs. So NCRTs, maybe you don't have to read all the NCRTs that are there. I recommend two NCRTs. There is the class 11 Indian Economic Development. Again, not a very thick book, a very thin booklet. So should be done in a couple of days. The Indian Economic Development. And then class 12, you have Introductory Macroeconomics, right? This is slightly thicker than Indian Economic Development, but again, should be easily done. Jada language is also very simple. Now, why I recommend NCRTs, and you'll see that बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि NCRT skip कर देना चाहिए. NCRT is not important, but I recommend that you should not skip NCRT. NCRT करना ही करना है, because these are sources directly from the government of India. Government of India is publishing the NCRTs, and many of the questions in your UPSC examination is directly lifted from NCRT. Okay, तो सरकारी एग्जाम है तो सरकारी सोर्सेस पढ़ना ही पढ़ना है. So don't skip NCRTs. But NCRTs in itself is not going to be enough, because this is only till 12th standards level. Okay, now your UPSC examinations will go at least one level above the 12th standard level in your GS subjects. Okay, optional mein obviously UPSC expects a graduation level knowledge and even honors, graduation honors level knowledge. लेकिन GS subject में at least 12th standard तक and some extra knowledge you should have. Okay, and therefore you have to pick up a standard book. Now there are many standard books available in the market. Now Indian Economy Handbook is authored by me, and therefore I am recommending it. I feel very confident in recommending it. It has great reviews. So you can pick this book up, but even if you're not picking this book, you can pick any other book. There are plenty of very good books available in the market. So ask around in your trusted circles, अपने friends से, seniors, relatives who have appeared in the examination, have given multiple attempts, ask them, and they will guide you well. And you can definitely pick up Indian Economy Handbook. It's a very good resource. Okay. Now here I again recommend that you pick only one standard book. If you have already read some book, maybe Ramesh Singh, Vivek Singh, Nitin Singhania, then stick to it, because the subject matter is not going to be very different in different books. अगर दो तीन book पढ़ लोगे तो that will only lead to duplication of efforts and will confuse you even more. तो एक ही book उठाओ और उसी को बार बार पढ़ना है. All right. Now, this is where the most of the heavy lifting is done. So once you have covered the NCRTs and the standard book, then your static portion is complete. Theoretically, you'll become much stronger. The concepts will become clearer. And then you can pick up the economic survey. क्योंकि अगर पहले economic survey पढ़ने का try करोगे तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. But now, after you have read the NCRTs and the standard book, the economic survey should make much more sense to you. Okay. So next is the economic survey. Now the economic survey is very important, because this is a kind of the report card of how the Indian economy has performed in the previous financial year. Okay. And also the UPSC का बहुत favorite resource है. UPSC does ask many questions in the prelims examination and the mains examination, which are directly lifted from the economic survey. Now, your economic survey is released at the time of budget, right? So every year on the 1st of February, the Honorable Finance Minister will present the budget, and uske ek din pehle, the finance ministry will release the economic survey. Okay. तो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे रिलीज होता है एंड द बजट इज अनाउंस्ड एट द सेम टाइम, तो दोनों साथ में कवर कर सकते हो, राइट? एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक सर्वे, I highly recommend reading newspapers. Now, you are an UPSC aspirant. Newspaper reading should be, second nature to you. Daily पढ़ना है, right? Now, you can either pick up the Hindu or the Indian Express. दोनों नहीं, pick just one of them. Both are very good newspapers, and yeah, generally UPSC aspirants यही पढ़ते हैं. तो pick any one of them and be very regular with reading newspapers. Okay. So these forms all the resources that you are going to use for your Indian economy. Now, once you have read the standard book, एक बार book पढ़ लिया है, now your static concepts are clear, then you should start making your notes. Now, note making is very important because when the exam comes, then you are not going to be able to revise everything. If you try to pick up the books, the economic survey, and try to revise from there, you're not going to be able to do that, क्योंकि वो बहुत वास्ट हो जाएगा, राइट? एंड इतना वास्ट हो जाएगा कि तुम अच्छे से कर नहीं पाओगे, एंड दैट यू विल स्टार्ट लूजिंग कॉन्फिडेंस. सो यू शुड हैव योर ओन नोट्स विच इज वेरी कंसाइज, राइट? इतना कंसाइज होना चाहिए कि एक दिन में आराम से रिवाइज कर लो. ओके. So once you have covered the book, start making notes, right? Start making your own notes. Now, this notes can be digital notes in your computer, or can be notes on your notebook, whatever is more comfortable to you. अगर तुमने notes बनाना भी start नहीं किया है, then I highly recommend try to make your notes digitally, right? Try to make it in your computer. क्योंकि वो फिर काफी इजी हो जाता है एडिट करना, बाद में एडिट करना, एंड टू ऐड थिंग्स देयर बिकम्स वेरी इजी. सो इफ यू आर कंफर्टेबल देयर, वेरी वेल, आई हाईली रिकमेंड. लेकिन अगर नहीं हो, यू आर अ मोर पेन ऑन पेपर गाय, नोटबुक में लिखने में अच्छा लगता है तुमको, तो दैट ऑल्सो वर्क्स. इतना कोई बड़ा इशू नहीं है. ओके. सो यू मेक योर नोट्स. नाउ योर नोट शुड बी वेरी कंसाइज. नाउ एज यू go on to read the economic survey, and when you are reading your newspapers daily, तो धीरे धीरे वहाँ जो भी एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन जो तुम्हें अच्छा इंफॉर्मेशन लगता है, सम गुड डेटा, सम गुड एग्जांपल्स, या फिर सम news articles that talks about latest happening in Indian economy, then you can add them in your notes, right? So that will be your value addition to the notes. So in this way, your notes will keep on becoming very rich in content. And at the same time, जो तुम्हें लगता है कि this is redundant material, इसको notes में बल्कि बना रहा है notes को, तो उसको हटाते भी जाओ, right? So that finally तुम्हारे पे notes होगा, that will be very concise and should only consist of keywords, right? तुम्हारा notes है, should be your own baby. सिर्फ तुम्ही को समझ में आना चाहिए, किसी और को समझ में ना आए तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, right? ऐसा मत सोचो कि मैं फाइनली जाके एग्जाम क्लियर करूंगा एंड देन आई विल पब्लिश माय नोट्स. दो सॉर्ट ऑफ लॉफ्टी एस्पिरेशंस शुड नॉट बी देयर. अपना नोट्स है, अपने को ही समझना है, एंड देयरफॉर मेक वेरी कंसाइज नोट्स विथ कीवर्ड्स दैट ओनली यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड. ओके. एंड इसमें प्रॉपर विद टाइम वैल्यू एडिशन होते रहना चाहिए फ्रॉम योर lectures. If you are taking some lectures, then वहाँ से from your study materials, books, economic survey, current affairs, right? Make very concise, very rich notes. And then this is the note that you are going to revise multiple times. Okay. तो क्योंकि obviously the retention is not going to be as much. पहली बार पढ़ोगे, maybe you will be able to retain around 30%, 35%. Next time, a bit more, maybe 50%. So multiple revisions, and obviously multiple revisions are required to have full grasp over the subject. तो ये notes बार बार रिवाइज करने के तुम्हारे काम आएगा. Okay. Then next is answer writing. Now, when should you start answer writing? I highly recommend that you start your answer writing right after you have finished your books, right? Finished your standard book. So you have read the NCERTs, read the standard books, and that gives you a very good knowledge about the static concepts, the theories of Indian economy. And उसके बाद तुम आंसर राइटिंग कर सकते हो, because the questions that UPSC asks in the mains examination, they can be answered just by reading the book, right? Obviously, जो बुक पढ़ के तुम आंसर लिखोगे, that will be a little lower in quality. And अगर तुम्हारे पास न्यूज़पेपर्स और करंट अफेयर्स से एक्स्ट्रा इंफॉर्मेशन, एक्स्ट्रा लेटेस्ट डेटा होगा, तो वो भी आंसर में लाओगे, तो that will make your answer much richer, right? But you should absolutely start your answer writing just after you have finished your standard book, right? So इसमें do a lot of brainstorming, क्योंकि questions हैं, the kind of questions UPSC asks, that is very interconnected with different chapters, right? तो you cannot just say कि अरे ये तो inflation chapter से ये question है, right? So UPSC will ask questions on that. What are the effects, reasons for causes of inflation, reasons, effects of inflation, and how the monetary policy and the fiscal policy has been used by the government to tackle inflation, right? तो बहुत सारे different chapters से interconnected होता है. So try to do brainstorming, try to interconnect different chapters. Do your answer writing. Now, I highly recommend that you first start with the PYQs. So previous years में UPSC ने जो भी सवाल पूछा है, try to write answers for that. Okay. Even for your prelims examination, जो prelims में जो question किया उसको attempt करो, right? And then move on to mocks, the mocks that different coaching institutes take, right? So answer writing. Now, answer writing in itself is not enough. You have to analyze your answers, right? So first start है, बहुत लोग start ही नहीं कर पाते हैं because they are afraid that they are going to write very bad answers. But उससे डरने का नहीं है. Obviously, you are going to write very bad answers in the beginning, but the improvement is going to be incremental. धीरे धीरे improve करोगे, धीरे धीरे you will get ideas that what more information, what more dimensions can be added in this answer, right? So that will come with practice. And therefore, beginning the answer writing is very, very important. And once you have written the answers, get it evaluated or do self-evaluation of the answers and try to understand that where did you go wrong and कहाँ पे improve कर सकते, right? So self-feedback and feedback from your peers, your friends, your mentors, your teachers, वहाँ से feedback लेके try to improve it, right? So your improvement is going to be very incremental. धीरे धीरे इम्प्रूवमेंट आएगा, right? Initial answer you will hate. I think there is no candidate who writes an answer the very first time and is very satisfied. Obviously, you are not going to write good answers. You'll hate your initial answers, but धीरे धीरे improvement okay. Finally, you will reach that stage where in the mains examination, you will be able to write very good answers. Okay. All right. Now I have some don'ts also. These are the things that you should not do while preparing. Okay. The don'ts are, should not, consult multiple standard books. Now this I've already said that all the standard books have almost similar content. उनका ज़्यादा difference नहीं है, right? So if you consult different standard books, that will only be leading to duplication of efforts. Same चीज तुम 4 जगह से पढ़ोगे और you'll get confused also, right? So that is why initially, while picking up a standard book, you have to be very smart and pick one standard book and then stick to it, right? So एक standard book पढ़ना है and stick करना है. Second is don't procrastinate, right? Procrastinate मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि कल करेंगे, right? Because you have limited amount of time before you are going to attempt your examination, before the examination is going to come, and therefore you must not procrastinate. You must not पढ़ाई करते करते बीच में you feel like going to social media, scrolling on Instagram, because that is only going to kill your time. The best friend in your preparation is going to be your discipline. If you're not going to be disciplined, it is going to be be very difficult for you, right? So don't procrastinate, because this will also lead to pendency, because you have a timetable in mind, and कि इतने दिन में करना है, उतने दिन में नहीं कर पाओगे, then that will lead to a lot of stress. So you don't want to end up in that situation, right? तो procrastinate मत करो. Third is, don't rely on toppers' notes. Every year there are so many toppers, and they have fantastic notes. Some of them have very detailed notes, and they will release it in the market. They will upload it on the internet, and फिर वहां से तुम्हारे पास notes आ जाएगा. Now those notes are for the benefit of that topper. से तुम्हारा ज्यादा benefit नहीं होने वाला है, right? Your own notes that you are going to prepare, that is only going to benefit you, right? So दूसरे के notes में rely नहीं करना है, अपना notes बनाना है. Also note making is the all about the process. तुमने finally toppers के notes ले लिए, but you have not gone through the journey of preparing that notes, right? And that will come to bite you in the end, because through the process of preparing your notes, your concepts are much more clarified. Your understandings becomes much clearer. uh, ज्यादा अच्छे से तुम्हारा आउटपुट आएगा, right? And therefore make your own notes. And fourth is, don't be afraid of answer writing. Everyone initially is very afraid of answer writing, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि हमें हमारे पास अभी पूरा नॉलेज नहीं है, अभी हमें थोड़ा सा और पढ़ लेना चाहिए, उसके बाद आंसर राइटिंग कर सकते हैं. But that stage is never going to come, right? No matter how much you study, there's always going to be stuff that you can study more. All right. uh, and specifically Indian economy is a very vast subject. uh, just the breadth of it is very vast. मतलब there's no end to the amount of things that you can study, and also the depth of it. मतलब किसी एक चीज में भी जस्ट अबाउट, अगर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी के अंदर घुस गए तो उसके अंदर भी बहुत कुछ है, राइट? सो you'll never arrive at a situation where तुमको लगेगा कि यार मैंने बहुत अच्छा कर लिया है, अब आंसर राइटिंग कर सकते हैं. एंड therefore start answer writing just after you have done one reading of your standard book, one reading of your NCRT, and start writing bad answers, right? इतना कोई बड़ा बात नहीं है. खराब आंसर लिखो, एंड खराब आंसर लिखोगे उसके बाद ही अच्छा आंसर लिख पाओगे. ऑलराइट, so these are the don'ts. Okay, so this let's sum up your Indian economy strategy. You start with studying your NCRTs, your standard book. You build your concepts. You finish the static portion, right? Static portion, the theories you have finished. After that, you make your notes, right? Now, your notes should be very concise, consisting of only keywords. Now, note making is not just uh, an exercise of few days, right? Your making will continue with all of your UPSC journey. जब से तुम बुक पढ़ोगे उसके बाद एग्जाम तक तुम्हारा नोट मेकिंग चलता ही रहेगा, because you will keep on revising the notes, you'll keep on adding something extra, you keep on enriching it. At the same time, you also remove some things from your notes जो तुम्हें लगता है कि redundant है, काम का नहीं है, all that. So you make your notes. Now at the same time, you do some dynamic studies. You study the economic survey, you study the newspapers, right? And throughout this process, you will keep on updating your notes. And then you'll also do answer writing. Answer writing, I highly recommend that you do previous year questions, because previous year questions, and sometimes the UPSC also repeats questions. So the questions will be directly lifted from previous years. So you don't want to end up in a situation कि previous year में पूछा जा चुका है and इस year में उसको answer नहीं कर पाया, right? So do answer writing with your previous year questions, your mocks, right? And you always aim for incremental improvement, धीरे धीरे करके, right? Initially, maybe out of 10, you'll get 2, 2.5. फिर धीरे धीरे करके you want to increase it to 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, all that, right? So this is the journey that I want you to take. And then only after that, you will absolutely excel in your UPSC examination. All right, so that was the strategy for Indian economy. Thank you very much.